Christmas to my Orthodox friends celebrating Christmas today. I'm actually celebrating Christmas today as well, doing Gnyp Gnop with one of my bestest friends, and I gotta say, really, truly a brother to me. My friend Chris Uzinski, who is the Gnop of Gnyp Gnop. Hi, buddy. How are you?
And happy, because I still have my Christmas lights on, so I'm doing that in honor of you. Well, you unorthodox people.
Well, so here's the thing, though. This is the one thing in theory, your lights should stay up till January 6th at all time.
Okay.
And that's because not because I'm a good Christian. I just know that it's because it's the 12th day of Christmas, the Epiphany, and that's what you're supposed to do is you leave your lights up. You're supposed to leave your lights up, your Christmas tree up till the 6th of January. So if you take them down early, you're breaking the rules, supposedly.
All right.
I leave mine up just because I like to bright, shiny things, and I'm lazy.
There you go. Hey, that background noise is an actual active brewery. If you can hear it in the background, everybody.
So but wait. Before we got to say thank you to Diego. He's our guy that does all our technical stuff, like the equipment, the stuff with the computers. And we had a little technical issues yesterday and today, and I love the way he fixed it. Did you turn your computer off?
Did you restart your computer, Gnyp?
27 hours later, why don't you just turn it off again? Oh, okay. Yeah. And look at that, it's working. So there you go, Diego. Thank you so much. You're a wonderful person.
Yeah, he's great.
Now, speaking of that noise, you're right. I'm a beer drinker, more than you are, of course.
Yes.
And one of my favorite breweries in this area and around, because you know what, they make just really good beer, is Chapter 2 on Edna, just off of Walker Road in Windsor. And Chapter 2's been around for a fair amount of years now. I mean, They keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And one of the big reasons for it is they have a very talented beer maker.
Mm-hmm.
And his name is John Smith. We couldn't get him today, so we've got Michael Bodwin. No, just Michael, how are you, buddy?
Fantastic. How are you guys doing today?
Awesome. Welcome to Gnyp Gnop, and thank you for always making great beer.
I try.
There you go.
So how long? Chapter 2's been around for how long now?
It'll be 4 years in March.
And you know what? That's a good thing. I mean, starting off small, and you guys, and you guys are, you started off in kind of bare bones, but now you've brought in food, which is delicious, and you're always kicking out a bunch of different beers. And so, how did you get involved with Chapter 2?
I was currently working at a different brewery in the city. And we set up a little homebrew meet and greet, because a lot of the homebrewers are great supporters of craft beer and the breweries. So that's where I got my start, homebrewing at home. And we set something up at that particular establishment, and a bunch of people that were interested in homebrewing came out that night. One of which happened to be Chris Holt. So him and I hit it off, we were talking, and I started showing him how to homebrew in my driveway. He caught the bug, and then he built this little system at his friend's man cave, as they called it. So I taught them how to brew inside of there, because they got tired of buying their own beer all the time. Shortly thereafter, they're like, hey, any chance we could take this to the next level? I got some space within my building opening up, and we're thinking of maybe taking our little hobby here and doing it professionally. And we talked about it, and one thing led to another, and next thing you know, walls coming down, and a brewery was being started.
But it seems like that's the way a lot of craft breweries start, because I've got a friend over in the States who did the exact same thing, did it in the garage, went to another little shop. Next thing you know is he had a gigantic restaurant and brewery in Ferndale, the same way with Axel Brewing Company, kind of that way. It seems like a lot of craft breweries are kind of, it's people who really love beer.
Very much so. Very much so. If you're going to do this, it should be really something you love to do. And it goes for any job, they say, right? If you're going to do it, you should love what you do.
Notice Chris and I are quiet. Do we love what we do, Chris?
I'm still trying to find my career, I think. I don't know, I'm like in my early 50s, and I'm still discovering things every day, so.
Yeah. I know I always just wanted to be a boy toy, but I'm thinking nobody wants an old, fat 55-year-old now, so, you know.
Oh, you never know. There might be a market for that somewhere.
Yes, there it is. So when you jumped ship, I mean, which you did, that's got to be kind of nerve-wracking, though. You know, it's kind of like because you were with a pretty big boy in the Windsor market. To all of a sudden, you know, join in on an up-and-coming venture. I mean, was there that day when you walked in and went, huh? I don't know. Oh, boy, what was I thinking?
Yeah, a little bit. You know, as you said, it's definitely one of the biggest in the area. So even just the equipment size, going from the larger stuff to the smaller equipment that we have. A few times there, yeah, there was a little bit of a head scratching. It's like, did I do the right thing? Was this the best move? But to get that creativity and the opportunities to make definitely the beers that I wanted to make, and I felt it would be good for the area, and that kind of was the linchpin of me saying, absolutely, I think this is going to be the right move.
Well, and I find, and I don't know if this is right or not, but it seems like if you are working for a bigger brewery, they have their set stuff all the time, and they don't really come out with too many new creations over a year. But it seems like, you know, something like, you know, and I'll use you guys as an example, you know, Chapter 2. Of course, you know, we can talk about Craft Heads with their shawarma beer and, you know, things like that. But when you're smaller, you can actually experiment a little bit more, in the sense of come out with a beer. If it doesn't work, at least you've only got 100, you know, you've got 50 gallons, not 2,000 gallons.
Oh, for sure. Smaller ones facilitate that. But even in our case, I net about 250 liters in a finished batch of beer. We still have a pilot system that makes even smaller amounts. So yeah, we can really throw out some new different beers quickly, very small amounts, of which there'll be quite a few coming up this new year. We brought in our new brewer last year to around October. Tammy started here, and that's not going to facilitate us to be able to do a lot more creative things as well. So keep an eye out, especially here. Follow our socials in the new year, and see a lot of these new fun beers we're going to be putting out.
Okay.
Now, when you're you know, again, it seems like breweries, especially. It seems like breweries in the craft brewing company business really tend to work together. They really actually work with each other. You know, there's a lot of you know, they do collaborations, or, you know, like you said, you know, breweries will work with home breweries, as opposed, you know, you don't see that in some of the other businesses. What's that whole thing? What is it that what creates that camaraderie so much in the beer industry? And I guess I'm not talking about like the big Labatts and the Molsons. I'm talking, you know, the way you see everybody kind of knows what everybody's doing, and if, hey, I need some extra hops, somebody will drive the hops over and go, here, take ours.
On both factions of that. So with the home brewers, a lot of the brewers in this area started out as home brewers, and it was that opportunity then to take it professionally and do it day to day. That's why we tend to be together. So when the home brewers come in and they have questions, or they want to see how we're doing something and how it relates back to how they're doing it at home, I've had quite a few of them coming, I want to come see if I'm doing it right.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, you're assuming I'm doing it right. You know, I'm doing it for how it suits my equipment. So, and it's fun hearing the creative side. A lot of new styles and a lot of new inventions as far as beer goes were created by homebrewers, because again, they make really small batches for the most part. So, hey, let's try doing this. Let's see what happens if we do that. Throw these ingredients in. Throw that in. If it tastes like garbage and they just don't tell their friends, or they pawn it off on somebody. So the homebrewers are definitely at a heartbeat of developing and helping build the craft industry. And then on the other side of that, like you said, the breweries themselves working together. You mentioned Craft Heads earlier. There's numerous times where I would message Brian from Craft Heads on a Tuesday, but hey, do you have a bag of grain I can borrow until next week when my delivery comes? Yeah, sure, no problem. And then we'll get it. 2 days later, I'll get a call back from him. Do you have a couple of bags of a different grain I can borrow until my delivery comes in next week?
Right.
Sure, no problem. So we're constantly switching. There's a few times it's like, wait a minute, how many bags do we owe each other now? So,
Michael, how
as quickly as you can do that, it's great.
yeah, Michael, how has COVID changed your business or your business model?
When it first started out, we went to small packaging, and Chapter 2 at the time was doing just bottling. With some of the grants, government grants that were available, it facilitated us buying a canning machine, which is a better packaging method. So we were able to get a canning machine. We started selling everything by cans. We did food, but it definitely impacted it. Even right now, with things currently going the way they are, we've definitely seen a drop. It doesn't help that there's this thing called dry January that people somehow partake in, which I haven't quite figured out why people stop it. It's like you had to drink that much in December that you have to dry out for January's. Everything in moderation. But COVID has impacted things a lot. But we're still open right now. We're still doing takeout as far as our canned product goes. Our kitchen is open. Check the social media website for our hours just to verify because they have changed as far as our retail hours go. But it's like anything else, you have to pivot. You have to figure out what's going to work for you and do what you can to get product into people's hands.
And you don't brew to actually distribute through the LCBO?
I'm sorry, you did break up.
Yeah, do you actually brew and distribute through the LCBO, or are you like that true kind of community-style brewery?
True community brewery, only available throughout our doors. So
right.
When COVID's done, come into the tap room, have a beer, or buy it to take home.
Sounds great.
Now, I'm happy that you guys went to cans because the bottles sometimes were a little bit rough in the fridge. It didn't fit my beer fridge. So thank you for going to cans. Now, what do you say to people sometimes when people will talk about the whole thing about it's like, well, if it's in a can, it doesn't taste as good, and things like that. What are your views on things like on that whole bottle versus can type thing?
Canning is actually the superior packaging product. There's something that can happen to beer called light struck, and beers that tend to get packaged in clear bottles are very susceptible to getting a skunkiness. When people talk about skunkiness, it's actually an interaction between hot components and light. So brown bottles, the traditional bottle, keeps most of that out. But obviously a can is completely opaque. It's never going to get light struck. So in that essence alone, it's the superior product. I mean, the other advantage is it's lighter. They don't break. So if you're going out someplace, you don't throw it in your backpack. Cans aren't going to break. Bottles can break. So as far as any other taste things, I know I've shared this argument a few times with my significant other, who insists that when she drinks it, she gets a tinny character. But I keep asking her, how do you get tin from an aluminum can? I haven't figured that one out, but there's something. People do tend to pick it up. I don't know if it's a power suggestion type of thing, but really nothing different. The cans, whether it's canned, bottled, or off tap here, it all comes out of the same keg, so there's really nothing different about it except the package that it's in.
I was going to say you're a very brave man fighting with the significant other.
I'm going to hear it.
Remember, a line between bravery and stupidity.
It's a close one.
So I know that you are, and when I say it this way, I say it with much respect. You are a very traditional brewer. You are one of those kind of guys that you can make a great pilsner, you can make a great lager, you can you know what I mean. Now, what is your view sometimes when you see these, kumquat infused chocolate milkshake stout with that's now an IPA finished with a porter, and you're just like, what kind of beer really is that? I mean, do you think sometimes that people are trying too much? It's almost like the way hot sauces have gone to 6 million Scoville units, and people just keep trying to push the boundaries. Like, do you think sometimes people are almost going away from making beer, and they're just trying to make flavors?
I can see that happening. I'm just going to add one little bit. I literally just got a text message from the missus, so yes, she's watching. So that line between
Hi,
bravery
honey.
and stupidity, I think I may have crossed that one. But in answer to your question, it's going to come down to what people do like. I mean, obviously, there's a market for, I'm going to say, beer that doesn't taste like beer. People are looking for that oatmeal raisin cookie stout, or the kumquat, whatever you're referring to. There is a market there. I guess the question becomes how sustainable is that market? How sustainable is that for building a business on? There are a few places that are succeeding, but they've always been about beer for the adventurous and doing different things. So it can be on a larger scale. I'm not sure if that's truly a sustainable business model. Basically, if you're following the trends. We get accused of being boring sometimes because, we only brew traditional beers. But one of the best compliments I've received from somebody is that, well, while we push the envelope in one essence, you're introducing people to beers that nobody else is brewing in those classic styles. So I do tend to favor beer-flavored beer. I don't necessarily want my drink to taste like the food I should be eating. I want it to complement it. But if people are going to do that and people are going to try to make beers that way and they can make a success of it, all the power to them. Keep doing it. I never begrudge anybody for trying different things. It's just not what I'm about.
And when you were talking about trends, it seems like that's something that is kind of that goes on. It's funny. You'll see somebody will make a certain it's kind of funny how, like, I'll use IPAs as an example. It was the West Coast IPA, everybody, and then all of a sudden, next thing you know, it was these gigantic, juicy, like fruity East, that whole East Coast hazy IPA, and it's like, is it tough though when if people come in and they're like, well, why aren't you doing it? Or, I mean, do you ever have that complaint where people come in and go, well, I can go to such and such place and, they have one?
It is tough when people come in, and sometimes you just tell them it's not my thing, or not something I necessarily want to do because of the viability of it. One of the things, especially on those East Coast ones you're talking about, big hop flavor, one of the first characteristics that comes out of a beer is the hop flavor and the bitterness. So you're going to put all this hop character in it, and it doesn't last that long. You really need to consume that fresh. But there are some people that have done them and done them exceedingly well. So when they come in, I direct them there. I know I've got our logo in the background here, but I've had people come in asking for a hazy IPA, and I tell them, if you really want the best one in the city, White Bronco at Sandwich, best hazy IPA in the city, in my opinion. And it sells extremely well, so I can't be too far off the mark. So if somebody in the city is doing something exceedingly well and a customer comes in and asks, I don't hesitate to tell them, hey, you want the best one, go here, go there, go check this place out.
Oh, that's funny. I've never heard of White Bronco or Sandwich Brewing Company. As my liver goes, ow. Yeah, no, they do, and that's the thing, and that's what I like about, it's and just what you said, because so when I used to have my restaurant, we'd do the same thing. Somebody would say, especially people from out of town, they'd say, I feel like having some Thai food, and well, I sold pizza. I didn't do, I'd be like, try basil quartz, try something, do all that kind of stuff, and I think that's why you can have so many. I mean, the Windsor Essex area has a fair amount of craft breweries now, and they're all they're all doing well because you don't want, when I come to Chapter 2, Danger Bird is my beer. I will try everything else that you come out and you make all these new beers, and I try them all and I love them all, and then I go back and I say I'll finish with the Danger Bird just because that's my choice with you guys. I love that beer, but I at the same time, I can go to Sandwich, I can go to GL Heritage, I can go to Craft Heads and drink something else and support everyone. And I think that's what one of the nice things about craft brewing in business. Everybody has their niche, and you can get something from them. And so, Here's my thing, though. So you and I have made beer together before, and I have to say, so can we talk about Gnyp?
Absolutely, bring it on.
So Gnyp, which is a play on my last name, Michael helped create. He created the flavor of it back in what was it, about 4 years ago, I think. And we've raised money for the humane.
Yep.
Right, we've raised money for the Humane Society. We did money for Canadian Mental Health Association, and so this year we're going to resurrect Gnyp, and we're going to do it with. And so, I'm hoping to bring Chris with us because I want him to see how hard it is to stir all that mash.
Oh, well, like I said, we come in and say, I'm not making the beer. It's your beer. You get to make it. I will make sure everything goes along well, but you're not sitting here all day watching and drinking beer. No. You got to get to work.
So we are going to be bringing back Gnyp this year, and we've decided, right, we may as well, should we tell people who the money's going to?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think we should. So we're going to be working with Pride this year, and we're going to help them out. We're going to do an absolutely fabulous Gnyp.
Sounds awesome.
Have to do a little extra fun for this year.
Yeah. So, but of
course,
course, so we don't know exactly. We don't have the exact date yet, but it'll be sometime in the summer. And so if you need me and Chris to come to Chapter 2 when things reopen, and to start tasting ideas for beer, and we can practice stirring already. See, Chris is already.
I'm stirring.
He's either stirring or dancing.
I don't know. Maybe both.
Got to get in there. Got to do it.
So yeah. So
a little bit of both.
Yeah. So that we're going to be introducing Gnyp back to Windsor again sometime this probably like this summer, right?
Yes, absolutely. But we're flexible on that. I guess pandemic issues will be the biggest question mark as to when we can actually get that off and are up and running. So we'll see what happens as far as any further situations go. But hopefully we're to the end of COVID.
Yeah, I think fingers crossed, Michael. I think we should be okay by summer for sure.
A lot of other great things.
Yeah, for sure.
So, really quickly, what are you working on? Is there anything that you can tell us that you're working on beer-wise?
Yes, we have a cask of beer. We're going to start doing some cask beers here. I know.
Nice.
Oh, wonderful.
Tried doing them throughout the years. Cask beer, for those that don't know, you put the beer in this metal vessel, which is cask. It's traditionally served in the UK. And it re-goes through a conditioning and secondary fermentation in the cask, and it's served right out of there. So the carbonation's a little softer. It's and it allows us to also do some experimentation with flavors. So that'll be coming out very soon. I just brewed up another Belgian blonde yesterday. We're one of the few breweries that do Belgian beers consistently. So that's something that I'm a passion of mine. I love Belgian beers. So just brewed that up yesterday. And some pilot beers that are in the works. We're just trying to figure those ones out.
Awesome.
That's really about as far as anything new right now. But lots of things in the planning stages. We spent some time trying to go through the year and trying to tie into those naturally occurring holidays or special days.
Sure.
See what we can do to bring up some cool stuff then.
Awesome.
Sounds great.
Well, listen, you do a hell of a job. My liver sometimes doesn't like you, but I do. I think you're an absolutely talented man with what you're doing with beer. And I truly appreciate having you stop by and talk with us. Keep doing what you're doing.
Oh, I'm happy you guys asked.
Thanks, Michael. Great seeing you again.
No problem, guys. All right, you guys have a wonderful New Year.
Go have a beer.
Thank you very much for having me on. It's all right.
I was going to say, hey, you're welcome. You're welcome on the show anytime. But now go drink a beer. By the way, what are you drinking?
This is a little bit of our holiday beer, our Belgian barley wine. Barley wine's one of my favorite styles. It's a little high octane there, but quite tasty. Nice sipper.
So really, you're not working for the rest of the afternoon.
That's why it's the small glass.
That's right. Thanks, Michael.
All right,
All the
Michael,
best.
All right, everyone.
Thank
You
you
guys
very
have a
much.
fantastic New Year. All the best with the show and continued success. And I'll talk to you guys soon.
Thanks.
Everybody.
Bye, guys. Bye.
Chris. I think when things reopen, you and I need to go and sit at Chapter 2 and have a cocktail or two or I should say a pint or two.
Yeah, for sure. I think one thing we should do too is maybe go over the Gnyp beer. You released one about 3 years ago? No, I'm sorry,
4 years.
4 years
4
ago.
years ago.
Right, and I think the proceeds went to the Humane Society.
Well, the first year it went to Canadian Mental Health Association.
Okay.
Then the next year it went to the Humane Society, and then we had the years off because of COVID, and it is just a classic West Coast IPA, one of my favorite beers in the whole wide world. And people will say this all the time. They'll be like, "Oh, it's so boring," because it's been around for 20 some odd years. Bell's Two Hearted Ale in the States. It's kind of along the lines of that, just a good solid IPA. One of those kind of beers you open up and you go, I've had 4 and I've had enough. But my joke is that the last time we made it came out it wasn't overly strong, but stronger than a normal beer, but it came in at 6.66 percent. So I'm like, that's right. The sign of the devil.
And there you have it. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it's going to be the Gnyp Gnop Gnyp beer.
There you go. That's a wonderful
the
idea.
reason you're going to have to be there with me, stirring and
Drinking.
doing all that kind of stuff.
Drinking. Oh, we'll see.
I'll teach you. I'll make you a beer drinker.
All right. You do that. So you look at a couple things I wanted to talk about just before we sign off here. One is in a couple weeks, David J. Haskins from Bauhaus and Love and Rockets will be joining us and talking about his new project. And we're also going to do a little tribute to Pat Fish, our old friend, the Jazz Butcher, which David J. was in the Jazz Butcher Conspiracy or Jazz Butcher Experience, which one of those, for a number of years and a couple tours. So, it's going to be great having David on.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah,
I'm
for
very
sure.
excited about that one.
And our old friend, John Stokes, is coming on. I think John Stokes is the principal cellist from the Barcelona Philharmonic now, or whatever it is. But he's going to come on, and we're going to talk about cellos. We're going to talk about Spain and his time with us in Windsor as one of our good friends. And we're also going to talk about his cellos, which he gets from Elton John.
That sounds awesome.
Sure does. So he's going to join us, I think, next week.
And and the one thing I will always remember about John Stokes, I'll say it, was, and I can't remember which he was playing in the orchestra for one of the Toronto Broadway plays, and I remember all you could see was his red flat top. Flat top in there. I'm like, hey, I know him. There's John Stokes.
What a distraction.
So I wonder, we'll have to see if he's still got the flat top.
That's it. Absolutely. So we'll see what's going on. Anyway, that's it for this week, Greg. That's it.
Well, thank you, my friend. Merry Christmas to you.
Happy New Year. And happy Christmas to you.
Thank you very much.
You guys need a calendar. That's your problem.